Tanya, at the end of Perek Aleph, who's excited today is going to be the best, most controversial, most interesting, and most insightful piece of Tanya that you'll have learned all day. So today we're going to get right into it with different types of people, different types of souls. Did you know that different people have different souls? We're going to go with three general categories. Before we say this, what did we come off last year? The last class we were explaining how that you have in your animal soul, it comes from Klippas Noiga, and it has all these different fire, water, air, and earth, which give you all different bad feelings, and also it has good feelings. So now, before we get into the different types of soul, let's explain there are three different energies in the world. Why are there three different energies in the world? Very simple. Hashem made the whole world. Now, if you just have Hashem, and the whole world is just an expression of Hashem, all you see is Hashem, there'll be no free choice. Everyone will be just like angels, going around and seeing, wow, God is everywhere. And then, what's the point of the world? If the whole world is just an expression of godliness, everyone will be walking around like angels. They'll be seeing God. They'll be experiencing godliness at all times. And there won't be any free choice. No one's going to ever do any sin. No one's ever going to do anything wrong. No one's ever going to choose to do anything right. Because it's just, wow, Hashem is everywhere. So Hashem made a covering for his godliness. And the covering, by the way, is also made out of godliness, but we just don't see that. So that is called klippa. Klippa in Hebrew means a peel. A peel of fruit covers over the contents. If you take a nut and you want to eat the nut, let's say a peanut or a tree nut, you want to eat a nut, what do you got to do? You got to pick it up and crack off the shell, and then you can get to the inside. So the same thing with godliness in the world. If you want to experience godliness, sometimes you have to crack off the shell. Thing is, there's two types of shells. There's something called klippas noiga, which means a shining klippa. And then there's the three klippas atameis, sholosh klippas atameis. So, the impure klippas cover over godliness entirely, to the point that you can't see it. And the only way to get rid of it is when Mashiach comes, it says that all death will be removed from the world, and then we'll see the godliness inside of it. But until then, we can't see it. The klippas noiga, shining klippa, it has like the silver. It's like a cloud with a silver lining. You don't see the godliness, but you still can appreciate the godliness if you have the right outlook, if you behave the right way with it. And then kedusha, godliness, is just Hashem. So I once saw a very good example of this in a picture of three scenes. You have a cow. A cow is like klippas noiga. You don't look godly, but if you behave the right way, you can bring out the godliness of it. Then with a cow, you can do two different things. You can either make it into tefillin, or make it into a sefer Torah, and now it's just pure kedusha. Someone sees it and they're like, wow, that's very holy. On the other hand, you can take it down to sholosh klippas atameis. You take it down to the impure klippas by using it for a cheeseburger. And then, the cheeseburger is not kosher, it's forbidden. So now it's completely forbidden. And you can't see the godliness inside of it. So, now that we've figured out three stages in the world, everything's either godliness, thinly veiled godliness, or completely hidden godliness. Which one are people? I want to say these three in these words. I want to say that kedusha is selfless, klippas noiga is self, and sholosh klippas atameis is selfish. I think that's a good way to phrase it. So which one are people? I want to approach this in a few different ways. I want to approach this in outlook, and then in genetics, and then in psychology. And then we'll find out how Chassidus answers them all. So firstly, in outlook. If you go to Wall Street, you walk up to 47th Street in the Diamond District, and you go over to a businessman there, or for the same money, you can go to Washington, D.C., and you can walk over to someone coming out of a large office building, and you say, sir, please give me some advice in life. And he'll put his hand on your shoulder and say, young man, listen carefully to me. Everything everyone does is for the selfish gain. Anyone wants to do you a favor, it's selfish. Anyone is nice to you, it's because they want something from you. Everyone's trying to scam you. Everyone's trying to get something from you. Are they right? I'm not sure. That's probably what most businessmen in Wall Street and most politicians in Washington, if they're being honest, will tell you. Is it true that many people act like that, and then in many cases they're right? Yes. Are they completely right? Is that the way people work? Are all people sholosh klippas atameis? Are all people selfish? I'm not sure. Because for the same money, you can go to Mount Shasta in California, and you could stand at the top of the mountain peak watching the sunset, and you ask someone who's sitting there meditating for a piece of advice, and they'll turn around and say, listen, every person, even if it looks like they're trying to scam you and trying to get something from you, really they're nice and just trying to do you a favor. Are they right? Yeah, a lot of the times you think someone's out to get you and really they're just trying to be nice. A lot of times, you know, you're going over to someone, you're like, hey, how you going? And the guy's like, I'm not interested in buying anything. You ever had that? I once went over to someone, I'm like, hey, Shalom Aleichem, what's your name? He's like, I don't want to buy anything. It's like, sir, I'm not trying to get anything from you. Just trying to have a friendly conversation. Yet I really wasn't. So which one is right? Is everyone trying to scam you even when they look nice? Or is everyone trying to be nice even when they're trying to scam you? I don't know. Let's look at this from a different way. Let's look at this genetically. That some people believe that all beings, all living things in the world are shalosh klupas hatmeis. They are all selfish. Why is that? Because genetically, it makes sense that, let's say you have, 1,000 years ago, a tribe of Vikings. These strong, broad-shouldered killers with bloodlust and massive axes. And they live in the next town over is a bunch of old Jewish tailors who sit around and sew things. And there's only enough food for one tribe. I think you could bet your money, logically speaking, that there'll only be Vikings in the area in a few years, no? A lot of people are going to tell you, genetically, whoever exists now, whoever's alive, is because their genetics are more selfish. Because there's some tigers, why do tigers have sharp teeth? So these people will tell you, because there used to be tigers with blunt teeth and tigers with sharp teeth. And the blunt teeth tigers were very good at eating lettuce, but they can't eat any lettuce. It's not what they need. And the sharp-teethed ones managed to eat up all the meat before they even managed to swallow a mouthful. So who was left? I guess the sharp-teethed ones were left. They'll tell you why the people have some sharp teeth and some blunt teeth. Because the people who had both blunt and sharp teeth can survive with both eating lettuce and eating meat. And the other guys disappeared. That's what a lot of people will tell you. Meaning that everyone who exists, and all animals, and all existing things, are selfish. That's klippa. On the other hand, you find many people, and you find even with animals, that often do selfless things. You find animals that, not only for their children, but for other animals also, will go risk their lives for them. Maybe not give away their life entirely, but do things that are very above and beyond themselves, and share with other animals. And so much more so with people, you'll often find people who just do good, nice things just because they want to be good and nice. You find lots of people who are volunteering, who are giving charity, and nothing too crazy, just because they want to be nice. So what's right? Are all people selfish or selfless? Let's look at this from a psychological perspective. There was a man known as the father of modern psychology, whose name was Sigmund Freud. And Sigmund Freud, he believed that the essence of people is the drive for pleasure. He had his names for it. It's not so important to get into the details now. As far as he was concerned, all people, all they want deep down is pleasure. Now, by the way, I saw a very interesting letter to the Rebbe, where the Rebbe said that all his main students went off his path. For example, his biggest student and his closest and deepest student was Adler, who went and found his own belief that what drives people is not pleasure, rather power. But as far as we're concerned in Tanya, pleasure and power, it's all the same. It's all selfish. It's all about myself. Whether these people stay up at night dreaming of having another donut, or whether people stay up at night dreaming of becoming a dictator, it doesn't make a difference. But it's all about selfish and filling themselves up, making themselves more. Thing is, on the other hand, on the other side of the psychological spectrum, you have one of Frankl's students who went way off his path and was thrown out of the Viennese Association of Psychologists, whose name was Viktor Frankl. And he is a person, both Freud and Frankl are both Jewish. But Frankl is someone who the Rebbe very, very much appreciated his approach. It's very rare to see the Rebbe take sides in something of medicine. There's very, very few, like there's some general directives the Rebbe had in regards to medicine, and there's very, very few specific sides of medical debates the Rebbe took. In psychology, it seems that the Rebbe was very unimpressed with Freud and very impressed with Frankl. And Frankl's idea was the essence of a person is he's looking for meaning, for doing something worthwhile. Afterwards, when he was put into the concentration camps by the Nazis, it reinforced his idea when he saw Jews going and saying Shema Yisrael, even when they had nothing to gain. They were davening, even though they knew that there was nothing, no good could come out of it. There was no personal gain. They'll go and help a fellow, even when there's definitely no pleasure or power to come out of it. So that reinforced his ideas. So which one is right? Is it correct that all people are essentially selfish, or all people are essentially giving, and I'm not going to say above and beyond themselves. The godly soul is above and beyond human nature, and that we're going to get to tomorrow. But all people, even though they're self, they're giving. So the thing is, there's two types of souls. The souls from Klipas Noiga, where the godliness is partially hidden, and some from Shalosh Klipas Tmeis, the fully impure Klippa, where it's fully hidden godliness in them. And here's the thing. Not only are different people from different ones, you can actually change them. The Alter Rebbe comes from a place that he says that Jewish people, most probably because they received the Torah, their souls were changed to the point that they became Klipas Noiga by default. Later in Tanya he's going to say when someone invests themselves into sins enough, they can lower themselves to a point of the three impure Klippas. But they start off, the basic is they're from Klipas Noiga. And they have nice feelings of self. They have feelings of self that they want to be nice, and feelings of self that they want to be mean. Then he says, we're not Jewish souls. You have to understand that Alter Rebbe is living in a time, just like us, where older people he grew up with, was seeing the what's known as Tach V'Tat, the Khmelnytsky pogroms. Bogdan Khmelnytsky was someone who killed the same ratio of European Jewry as Hitler. Interestingly, he's still celebrated in Ukraine as a hero. He's on the 10 hryvnia bill, and there's a big statue of him in Kiev. But he was a butcher, a terrible murderer, and he wiped out full communities, hundreds of thousands of Jews. And also us, we grew up, I don't know about you guys, myself, I grew up with my grandparents lived through the war, and we always heard about the war, the thing. So people, both Alter Rebbe and in our times, are quite aware of how low people can get. So Alter Rebbe sees people like the Cossacks or the Nazis. These are clearly people who their souls are the three impure Klippas. They are people who you don't see any godliness at all. You don't see any good in them. They're just selfish. They're literally going for pleasure and power, and that's all they want in their life. But, believe it or not, he says that such people can change themselves, can fix themselves up. Alter Rebbe says in the Siddur, and also you see it from Rabbi Hillel Parachik, that he writes in Pelach Rimmon, that if someone whose soul is Shalosh Klipas Tmeis, if even a Nazi or a terrorist takes upon themselves to start keeping what Hashem wants from them, which all Hashem wants from them, the Jewish people have the hard end of the deal. They have to keep 613 mitzvahs. All Hashem wants from a non-Jew is the 7 mitzvahs of the sons of Noach. What are the 7 mitzvahs? Pretty simple. Believe in one God. Don't curse God. Don't kill. Don't steal. Respect family life. Don't be cruel to animals. And establish fair courts of justice. Then they allow, by doing their godly mission in the world, they allow godliness to shine through them to the point that they upgrade themselves to Klipas Noiga, to shine in Klippa. So, really, every person has a choice of what they want to be. And this could be why the Rebbe was so strongly pro-Frankl psychology for all mankind, even though you would think it would only apply to people who have souls from Klipas Noiga, from see-through Klippa. Because the Rebbe's vision for mankind is that every person should be expressing godliness. Every person should be doing their job in this world, their mission in this world. For a Jewish person, it's to keep the 613 commandments of the Torah. For a non-Jewish person, it's to keep the 7 mitzvahs of the sons of Noach. So, let's talk about now that we've figured out there are some people are Klipas Noiga, some people are Shalosh Klipas Tmeis, let's talk about these people who's like the terrorists and the Nazis and the people who reject the 7 mitzvahs in Noach. What are their lives like? On the other hand, as opposed to a whole explanation of people who have souls from Klipas Noiga, the souls of the evil nations and those who don't keep the 7 mitzvahs from Noach, they come from all the other Klippas, the impure Klippas, that they don't have any good in them at all. Like it says, firstly in Kabbalah, it's not the Alter Rebbe's invention. He has 2 sources for this. Firstly in Kabbalah, it says in Eitz Chaim that all the good that these